The number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Getting it done, any means, get rid of these snakes. I'm up in my state, going all in like step, get rid of these breaks. Now I ain't never gonna break. Double my pace till I go down one of the greats. One of the greats, whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
Can't believe I'm doing this.
Having fun, so that's all.
We like the live video. All right, everybody, welcome back in to another episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. This is episode 205. I am Christian Brindle, joined as always with my co-host Glenn Shelton. And everybody, boy, has it been a week. Has it been a week?
Has.
We have a lot to catch everybody up on.
We sure
today.
do. We sure
we
do.
have-
Happy Friday the 13th, by the way, which
Yes.
back-to-back Friday the 13th. I don't know where that falls in like the lucky, unlucky spectrum, but we had a Friday the 13th last month. Today is Friday the 13th.
Yes.
What is in store for us today, Mr.
Well,
Brindle?
we have a great show scheduled and planned for you guys today, an agenda, if you will. There's been a lot of noise surrounding this whole NABIP conversation. We did an episode on Monday for those of you that are religious watchers. And if you don't know, we'll kind of recap a little bit of the events that have transpired during that episode and then events that have transpired since that episode. And, we'll see how it goes. If we have time, we have a very interesting Dr. Oz story on some comments he made about Medicare with AI being a big integral part of the future of Medicare. We'll kind of dive into that if we have time, but if we run out of time, we'll be covering that on Monday's show. I think it'd be a good idea to kind of get today's sponsor out of the way. What do you think about that?
I agree. Guys, today's sponsor of episode 205 is brought to you by Hire Heroes. If you are looking for a vetted virtual assistant, someone who can come in, help you with these low revenue, no revenue tasks that are just clogging up your calendar, head over to hireheroes.com right now. Hire Heroes uses a vetted pool of virtual assistants to take someone who already has a baseline understanding in the insurance world, plugs them into your agency or into your business, and instead of taking 2 to 4 weeks to find someone, you can be up and running in 2 to 3 business days on average. So do not wait. Stop wasting your valuable time. Head over to hireheroes.com right now. I'll have the link in the comments on the stream below the video if you want to click on it, or head over to hireheroes.com, hireheroes.com.
Absolutely. No revenue generating like this topic. Your VA can respond to NABIP for you, potentially. Okay, so jumping right into it, right? This is essentially the equivalent of doing a cannonball into the deep end, okay? There is so much to cover. I'm even trying to rack my brain a little bit knowing where to start, but I think the best place to start is here. Maybe a bit of a recap. Last week, I had a conversation, and then, have had several conversations since. And, Glenn and I had a conversation together with who's become known as the source on the show, right? Somebody that is deeply ingrained within NABIP, and somebody that is in the know in ways that we are not, somebody that agrees that there are clearly foundational and systematic issues within the organization. For us, we're skeptics, right? I'm a member. ESI is a member of NABIP.
Allegedly. First allegedly of the episode, by the way, for those of you counting. Allegedly we're members. We're not sure. Stay tuned.
Sure.
More on that here in a minute, but continue.
Yes. Apparently, we still show up on like a search as a member, but our account has been locked, which 2 weeks ago we could get in. Now it is locked. Very suspicious activities going on right there. But, so what we were told by the source were some things that were deeply concerning, which we decided to ask questions on Monday's show. And a couple of those things that we were told that we addressed on Monday's show and, just kind of put it out there as questions more than anything else. Like, this is what we're hearing from inside of your organization. Is it true? And it's as follows. Not having insurance for the embezzlement to cover it, which the embezzlement is membership dues, my dues, Glenn's dues, everybody's dues. Number one. Number two, very extravagant travel expenses, right?
Yes.
Which we talked a little bit about on Wednesday's show. Shout out to, the rocket ship that takes them from place to place, from airports to hotels. It is a literal spaceship. If you saw Independence Day, it's that giant spaceship that comes out of the sky at the beginning of the scene. Gotta get to where you need to go. I understand, but number three was something related to merch and T-shirts. Now, we had no idea who, but it was alleged that was set up in a way to where somebody was making a personal kickback on that. Now, again, allegedly, I want to make it known, allegedly. Many of you have already requested T-shirts that say allegedly 7-figure Medicare agent on it. I would be very supportive of that if anybody wanted to say
We need our own merch that I get
Yes.
a kickback on. I want to start getting a merch kickback.
$1 per shirt doesn't sound too bad on some allegedly shirts. Okay. But again, this was all alleged. More just asking questions like, this is what is being said from your camp inside of your organization, from people that have been a part of it for years, if not decades.
Let's for a second here. I want to tear apart the dollar amount speculatively that we would be talking about. Okay. And I'll explain this a little bit more. Okay. So let's assume NABIP is a hot selling merch machine. Okay. How many shirts and hats you think NABIP is actually selling? Oh, did you freeze them? Okay.
Did I? Am I okay? Am
You're
I
back.
coming through
You're
okay? Okay. So, I have no idea, to be honest with you. Maybe a couple thousand would be my guess.
That would be my thought too. Like anything more than that would kind of blow my mind. But let's say it's 3,000 units. So, that's a super high end, I think, speculation. So when we're talking about like $1 per shirt or per hat, we're probably only talking about a couple $1,000, right? Like that's the type of dollar amount we're potentially speculating, right?
Now, if it's true, we made it very clear it was allegedly.
If it's true.
Allegedly.
We do not have physical, tangible, objective evidence. We don't. We don't have it.
Right.
That's the truth.
And we made that clear. It was allegedly. And
let the record show we are at 15 allegedlys already.
The allegedly counter is raising. It's like a telethon. Your donations can help us reach our allegedly counter can help us reach our goal on today's telethon. And not only that, we didn't mention a single person's name on who might potentially have been tied to that because
100%.
we didn't know.
We
didn't know. It was not told to us. We had no idea. We just were told that somebody within the organization spun up a swag store and this was what's going on. And I'm like, that's crazy. I wonder if if we put that out there, crazy. Maybe there can be some answers on that. Well,
and hang on. I want to touch on this too, because this all started when I used the big E word on the show, and I got in trouble, hand slapped. The audience was saying, "How dare you speculate? Your allegations. No one embezzled anything. There's no embezzlement. NABIP didn't have any embezzlement." And lo and behold, less than a week later, it comes to light that there was embezzlement. So, pardon me if we are at a point in this NABIP conversation where if we hear something or we read something where it doesn't appear that the facts are lining up, that we're asking specific questions, because I don't take back anything we said on Monday's episode or anything we've said from the beginning. I think we have every right to continue to ask questions and to share what we're hearing, right? I mean, again, freedom of speech. I'm a big Constitution fan. I don't know about anyone else here listening on the show, but I think we have every right to share this information with you guys. I really do.
And I also feel like if you look, I mean, both of us are seasoned industry veterans at this point. Both of us have had massive amounts of success in multitude of different ways in this space. We've been around. And what I can tell you is whoever's writing the letters for NABIP is a train wreck. I just picture like this bumbling buffoon that's writing these letters, because the press releases keep getting worse and worse. Just when I think it can't get any worse, they put another one out. I'm like, oh, you imbeciles. And we're going to go through that as well.
Do you think it's AI? Do you think this is AI written content that
No.
we're mostly consumed? No, you think
That's the scary part. I think it would be much better written if it was AI. I think it's
You're probably right.
I think it's some goofball, quite frankly, which the more I learn about this organization, the more I figure out that it's kind of a mess from everything I hear.
Yeah.
So it would not surprise me if there's just, some half-rate attorney that's like throwing these together, and they come off so bad, which is what started all of this, by the way.
The paralegal. It's an intern. It's an intern at a law firm. It's not even a lawyer.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is what started all of this. What started all of this was
a
the
poorly
email
written letter.
they sent. Not us, had nothing to do with it. If we never talked about it, it would have been a huge, huge eyebrow raiser with NABIP members. I guarantee it. Talk to your membership, get the feel, take the temperature. That was very much the case. But they send out this email announcing the departure of their CEO, Jessica Brooks Woods, and they leave so much to read between the lines in this email that speculates all kinds of crazy shit. So far be it from me to read an email on the show knowing nothing, really, and trying to read between the lines, like, what is this trying to say? That's what really started this cannonball. We're on episode 5 talking about this shit. And the only reason we're on episode 5 is because they keep putting their foot in their mouth and making it worse and giving us more to talk about, quite frankly.
Quick comment I want to read in here. Guys, it is Freebie Friday today. So anyone who's commented on today's stream or Monday or Wednesday stream, this is our 3rd stream of the week. That gives you 3 chances to win. Don't miss out. Comment below, share your thoughts. Let us know what you're thinking. Really, really great comment here, though. In the membership guidelines, it clearly states members have the right to question or challenge how funds are being used. Why is this discussion being considered a witch hunt? So interesting. So,
fantastic question.
Members asking questions. It seems like we're playing by the rule book here. This episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by the 7 Figure University. 7figureuniversity.com is a culmination of Christian Brindle's and mine's educational videos that we have developed over the past 2 decades of combined experience in the senior insurance space. There's more than 250 videos, hundreds of hours of content that can help you become a top producer or a top producing agency in the senior insurance space. We're talking about videos of how to work with specific carriers, how to do different types of marketing, such as seminars or Facebook advertising, how to generate content in the niche to help grow your business, how to grow an agency, all sorts of things. There's so much value in this. It's unbelievable. Christian, what do agents need to know about Seven Figure University?
Seven Figure University can best be thought of as an agency blueprint in a box that's put together for you that brings you step by step in every facet of building a successful seven-figure insurance agency and lays it out all in front of you so you can follow along. Whether you guys need help with marketing, whether you guys need help with branding, whether you guys need help with hiring, training, standard operating procedures, systems and processes, automation, you name it, it's covered in this course. Not only that, you get access to my weekly training calls every Thursday that go from January through the end of September on a week-to-week basis. And you can attend those live and ask questions live. And then, of course, the recordings are put into the university afterward if you can't attend it and make the live training. So there's just so much value. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and it's a great investment into your business to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on, but also kind of point you in the right direction in various things that you're struggling with.
Some of the best training you'll be able to find, you guys, in one spot for one price. Go to sevenfigureuniversity.com and learn more.
Let's get back to the show. But before, so I want to get to what's transpired, and then we can react.
Yeah.
There's a ton of reaction, right?
Yeah.
There's so much to cover here, so much grounds. And if you've just kind of joined for the first time, we're going to try to catch you up as much as possible. But extremely funny. After we do Monday's show, apparently we turned a bunch of people's lives upside down. And I find that hilarious. Like, someone could do a show about me and it would not turn my life upside down. Because first off, I have nothing to hide. You know, I have no problem like even coming on someone else's show and addressing something.
Having the conversation. Yeah, that's a big piece of this.
If you've been following me on my personal page, I've been having the time of my life. I've been getting SpongeBob ice creams from the ice cream truck with me and my daughter. Delicious, by the way. Starting to warm up, having walks. You know, I'm skipping rope with my neighbors. Like it's I'm having a gay old time. And you know, a bunch of people's worlds apparently had their turned upside down. So anyway. I circle back to just hilariously funny chain of domino event circumstances that transpired after Monday's show. We finish up the show. A couple of days go by. We reference the NABIP topic just ever so briefly, maybe 10 minutes on Wednesday's show, talking about more than anything, the expenses of everything. Then yesterday, Thursday, the 12th, I want to say, is that right?
That's correct.
I'm going to make sure I get my chain of events correctly. NABIP publishes a letter to us, clearly to us, addressing really nothing that we said except for one thing.
Yes.
The most minor, in my opinion, of all the things we talked about. And I know you have a lot to say about that. I have a lot to say about that. Is the plan we want to read this letter?
We absolutely want to read this letter. I've nicknamed it a love letter. To me, it's you know like how Eminem will get just all these crazy letters from fans. It kind of falls into that category for me. I just think we have some fans. I'm sure this episode's being watched or listened to, whether it's live or replay right now.
Right now.
You know, shout out to the NABIP team. You know, shout out to you guys. Whoever's watching from NABIP, we appreciate your views. Absolutely.
Dear Slim, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. Okay. So here
you got to share your screen. Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Here is said letter. Okay. Can you see it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so actually, no, this came out March 11th. Excuse me. So Wednesday.
Oh, interesting. We were late getting, or
It didn't reach my radar until yesterday. Someone
yeah,
actually
I
texted
didn't
it to
hear about
me.
it till yesterday either.
Again, one criticism I've had about the organization is their ability to communicate, I think, is horseshit. Excuse my French. To get messages out there. So you post a letter about me. No,
Yeah.
what I was saying there was, a criticism that I've made about the organization is you write a letter, their communication is shit. You write a letter about me, and it literally takes me more than 24 hours to even be aware of it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like that's, exhibit A of that criticism. Okay, so let's jump into the letter. Okay, here we go. To whom it may concern, it has come to our attention that false allegations have been circulating on podcasts and social media suggesting. Now, by the way, we are the only podcast on the internet talking about this. There is not even a second.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the line in here where it basically says to Christian and Glenn, to the Seven Figures or Bust podcast from NABIP. That's the line to keep an eye on.
Yes. Okay. So it has come to our attention that false allegations have been circulating on podcasts and social media suggesting that funds related to NABIP merchandise or promotional items were taken or misappropriated. We want to address these claims directly and provide a clear and accurate explanation. A valued NABIP member, Amanda Bruton, who serves on both the foundation board and the Medicare advisory group, generously volunteered her time and resources to establish a swag store for NABIP. The purpose of the store was to provide members with the opportunity to purchase branded items for our association and our Brokers Making a Difference campaign while also supporting the organization. All proceeds from the swag store were deposited directly into NABIP accounts. At no time were these funds diverted, retained, or handled for personal gain. The implication that funds were misappropriated is entirely false and not supported by any information. NABIP maintains appropriate financial oversight and accountability measures to ensure that all funds are handled responsibly and transparently. The facts in this situation are clear. Equally important, making accusations that call into question an individual's integrity without verifying the facts is unprofessional and irresponsible. NABIP expects all members and stakeholders to conduct themselves with professionalism, respect, and integrity when raising concerns or questions. Attacks on an individual's character or reputation without factual basis are not constructive and will not be tolerated. More on that to come. If there are legitimate questions about NABIP programs or financial processes, they should be raised through appropriate channels so they can be addressed accurately and respectfully. We encourage anyone with questions to reach out directly so that we can ensure accurate information is shared and misunderstandings are addressed promptly. Sincerely, Susan Ryder, NABIP president. Okay, I've talked a lot. Reaction to said letter. Go.
So I want to start with understanding what was said, like the context and the content of that letter. So what I'm hearing is that there was someone who was personally in between the money getting into NABIP, right? That's what the letter is saying. It's saying that merch money went from the person buying the merch and then someone at NABIP, which it sounds like Amanda, according to the letter, right, was handling this money, but then it got deposited. So when we heard from our source that someone was in between getting the money, obviously we don't have the financial evidence. I mean, right now it's Friday, March 13th. There's been no deposits shown. The quote unquote audit that we were all promised as members, who knows, if that's even started or when we'll actually see any of that. So I think it's interesting because in a way it kind of validates what the source was saying. The source was saying that someone was being an intermediary. Now, what is the truth on, did all of those funds make it directly in and nobody touched the money? according to this letter, they're saying yes, right? They're saying all the money went straight into the NABIP account. No funny business. It's like, oh, that's great. That's what I want to hear, right? Like that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that somebody took more money. We already know somebody embezzled, and we're still trying to figure out what that was all about. So I'm happy to hear that. However, the actual vindication of evidence isn't a letter. The vindication of evidence would be a deposit that shows this, it would be two things. This is what actual evidence for this situation would be. It would be, this is how much we sold, and here's the deposits into the NABIP bank account. That's 100% vindication right there. If those two things were being put out, I'd be like, okay, there you go. Like case closed, right? Like hats off for, the right thing happened here. This is great. We didn't get that though. We got a letter instead that says, everything's good. Everything's good. We're good. Anyone else has questions? Yeah. Money's there. Gold's in Fort Knox. I swear. Gold's in Fort Knox. We don't need eyes on. Just trust me, bro. Trust me, bro.
Okay. So everything you said was so spot on there, right? In addition to that, I had 3 takeaways from the letter. Okay. Number 1, we never said a name. We did not have a name in mind. We were just told it was somebody that was setting up the store. By them putting this out there and attaching a name to it when we did not say any, they brought so much more attention to this whole situation than we ever could have on our own.
Yes.
They attached a name to it to directly tie somebody to the allegations when we did not.
Correct.
So that's number 1. Them putting out the letter in this way. Number 2, attaching a name to it. We never did. We didn't have anybody in mind. Number 3, they ignored every other allegation we made on the show.
Key.
So
yeah,
they did
that's
not.
the big one, guys.
They didn't address. They took time to address this one thing, and I know you have a lot to say about Miss Susan there, this is a good way to place a segue into that.
Susie Q.
So they did not address, to recap, the lack of insurance to cover the embezzlement, which is an absolute unbelievable.
Let me cut you off. I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna cut you off. Okay. You're going to say my list before I get to my list. You're going to steal my thunder. All right.
Let me skip over my list then. I'll skip over my list. We can circle back on that. But the other thing is, this entire situation has been made by one person to make themselves the victim and fall on the sword and tie themselves to it. So ridiculous, asinine. I think anybody that's paying attention can see what this is. This, in my opinion, her making it all about herself is hilarious to me. It's on brand. And in addition to that, it's something that I really could give 2 shits about. I yawn.
It has nothing to do with her. This whole situation has nothing to do with her.
In addition to that, she's a nobody. She's not important. I'm not thinking about her with all of this, right? Like, so again, it's just trying to be an attention whore, for lack of a better word. So anyway, I pass the mic to you.
I want to talk about the context of the letter. And again, the number one problem with this letter is we have spent more than 5 hours talking about this situation right here on the 7 Figures or Bust podcast. You can find these previous episodes on YouTube, on Spotify. I posted the transcript from a portion of Monday's episode right here in the group. All the information's right there for anybody who wants to go see, what have they been saying? What is this whole situation? If you're just now catching up, here's where I think the letter really missed is we've made a series of speculative, allegedly things that we've heard, just sharing information. And a lot of these are really big. A lot of these are really big questions, but no answers, no transparency. Susan didn't get her pen out and write a letter, or whoever, we don't know who writes these letters. Susan attached her name to this one. But, personally, I'd like to ask Susan several questions. So this kind of portion is dedicated to you, Susan Ryder. If you're watching this, or if someone sends this to you, I have 7 questions that I feel like are 100 times bigger and more important than what you responded to in that letter this week. And I'm going to read through these questions. And if at any point you would like to publicly address these, please include it in a letterhead and put a letter out and attach your name to it the same way you did this week, because that's the sort of transparency as members we want. That's really what we're looking for. That's what this whole thing's been about from the beginning. Is it's all kind of cloak and daggers behind the screen. We don't know what's going on.
Before you start your list, can I mention one thing before I lose it in my brain? Because I think it's an important point.
Fire away.
I've seen people that, now for the most part, from what I've seen, 95% of the public communication I've seen from agents have been in support of what we're doing. I put a poll up in the Facebook group that said, do you think what we're doing is good or bad? It was unanimously saying that what we're doing is good. There was not one person that stood up and said on the poll that what we're doing was bad. But on the few public comments I've seen from people that are heavily ingratiated in NABIP, there's no like response to any of this stuff. It's all just blind tribalism. I saw one person being like, if someone asked you to explain yourself for something financially going on in your business, you wouldn't feel the need to. Here's the difference. This is a nonprofit membership-based organization with members wanting to know. Members in their own bylaws have a right to that stuff. Some random person doesn't have the right to know what's going on in Everything Senior Insurance financially, because we're not a nonprofit membership-based organization. So that argument is dumb. It doesn't make any sense. And we as members, and for all of you that are members, you have the right to this information. Sorry, continue. I wanted to mention that.
I think that's a really great point. Again, we all have the right to this information without even having to travel all the way to Washington, D.C. You should be able to have access to all this information. If you're paying your annual dues like we are, and you're a part of NABIP, you have a right to this information. You have a right to know what's going on. That's what this whole thing's really been about from the very beginning, is what's actually going on. And why can't we get this information? Where's the transparency? So here's my list. I have 7 things that I believe are 100 times more important than what was addressed in the letter this week from the NABIP. Number 1, how much money was embezzled? This is super big one. We've heard numbers thrown around left and right. We've heard it's only $100,000. What's $100,000, right? Like, that's nothing.
Just $100K, you broke bitches.
Have you heard other amounts specifically than that? Because I feel like a lot of people are just saying kind of, oh, it's way more. Oh, it's less.
I have heard from 3 different people that are in the organization in a real way that it was more than 100K, but I haven't heard any specific numbers other than that. So that's all I've heard related to that. As of now, the only number I've seen is just 100K. You broke bitches.
So super important. I'd love to know the exact dollar amount. Your best guess before the audit, right? Because I know we're going to have a big audit here to figure out what's really going on. Before the audit, what is your best guess on how much money got embezzled? 100,000, 200,000? Like, is there an exact number? Do we really just not know? Is that the answer? We don't know. A lot was taken. We don't really know. We're guessing 100K. So I would love to get some type of dollar amount associated with the embezzlement. Number 2, why? And again, Christian addressed some of these things. He's a thunder stealer on this show, as you know.
My apologies. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. But some of these, I'm just saying, I'm kind of rehashing a little bit. But this is another really, really, really big question that I would love to see a letter about from the NABIP. Why did we not have insurance to protect us from this type of financial liability? As an insurance agent, our careers are centered around de-risking. That's our careers, guys. That's our careers. What do we do? We don't believe in insurance as insurance agents. What is this?
And can I add a caveat to that, right? Because they haven't said any comment about that. If that is the case, can you explain it? And if it's not the case, can you put those rumors to bed? Can you provide
Yes.
proof that you did have insurance if you did? If you didn't, can you give an explanation why you didn't? I think most insurance agents would deem that as irresponsible. So again, that's alleged. We don't know if you had
We don't
insurance
know.
or not, but we find it very telling that you did not address that part at all.
That hasn't been addressed anywhere that I've heard from anyone except the quote unquote rumor mill, right? This is alleged. We don't have the information. We don't know for sure. But if it's false, you know how easy it would be to take the cover of an insurance policy, black out any private information, and just be able to share that and say, look, we do have a policy. This is all that's not true. People are just saying that. It's not true. A very simple way. Is that not a simple way you could vindicate yourself in this situation? Show
Absolutely.
proof of insurance. If I get pulled over by a cop, what do I have to do? Show proof
Show
of
your
insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Show proof of insurance. Just proof of insurance would be super cool if that's there. I hope it's there. Like I said, I'm rooting for this to go the right way. I want all of this to go the right way. So I hope there's actual insurance. There's proof of insurance. Number 4. Number 3. I jumped ahead. Number 3. This is kind of a part 2 to that last one. Is if we didn't have insurance, because I'm kind of assuming we don't, right? I'm kind of assuming it's not there based on what we've heard. If we didn't have it, did we purchase a policy now? Do we have a policy now that somebody embezzled money? Did we realize, we need a policy? And if we don't have if we didn't have a policy before and we still haven't bought a policy now, why not? What's the holdup? What's the holdup on that? Like, would love a letter addressing that one specifically. Number 4, did we really spend less than 5% on lobbying in 2024? Again, according to the public information, the 2024 990 for NABIP, it said it was around probably 4.5% of the total revenue that went out the door to lobbying. Now, I will say, I want to address something I've heard in the rumor mill, that this is technically in favor of NABIP. I keep hearing that, that 5% number is not right. There's a bunch of other ways they're spending money on lobbying. And if that's true, can I get clarification on how the money is being spent on lobbying, but it's not being categorized as lobbying on the 990? Can someone put that together and put that on paper? Because I would find that money trail fascinating to know how you're moving money in a manner where you don't have to list it as lobbying. If it's, no, trust me, bro, it's actually going to lobbying. Anything you'd like? I kind of wanted to speculate if you have anything you want to add to some of these questions.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, because that's something that what I've learned about through my time of communicating with people about inside of NABIP, and this is not new. This is not in the last couple of weeks or 30 days that this has really been going on. This has been for years. They never want to give any specifics. It's always generalities. For example, NABIP uses their funds to lobby. Okay, who are the lobbyists? How much money? What actually got done? Those answers are invisible. Nobody can give those answers. I've never actually been given a specific by somebody within the organization. I've gone to plenty of NABIP events, never heard it, ever, any of those things. And so, that's the thing that has kept coming up since Monday's episode. You're looking at this 990 for the NABIP organization, 5% towards lobbying. You're not looking at the PAC or anything like that. Okay, fair enough, but can that transparently be made available to members so we'd know instead of a trust me bro type of thing? It's an organization made up of trust me bro things. And we're going to Capitol Hill. Trust me, bro.
Trust me,
We're going to talk to legislators, we're going to talk to legislators. Oh, it's secretaries. Like, who are you really talking to? Who are you talking to at Capitol Hill? Give some names. Are you talking to Elizabeth Warren? Like, who are you talking to?
All right. I want to keep going, and then we'll see where we're at time wise. Yes. Okay. So number 5 on my list for Miss Susan Ryder, president of NABIP. Did the audit start yet? What is the exact timeline of this audit? Is it 1 year? Because in the initial letter about this whole situation said maybe next year we'll have financial transparency. Are you telling me it's going to take a year to audit all the finances? And if so, that kind of seems long to me. Mr. Brindle, thoughts?
Agreed. I think their initial statement that kicked all this off when their, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, their horrifically written email that announced the departure of former CEO Jessica Brooks Woods. It said, within a year, we hope to have full transparency and, on finances, etc. Why does it need to take a year? Like,
yeah,
what up with that?
I think we have a really complex financial system because we have so many different companies.
Yes, we
do.
So
I was thinking about if we had to do like a forensic audit on our accounts. I'm like, there's no way it would take a year. I'm like, maybe a quarter. Like maybe it would take 90 days was kind of my guess if we had to do a forensic audit. Yeah.
Maybe. I would guess a month at the most.
Yeah, I think 30 to 9, like 90 is like the top end. It could be done in 2 weeks, maybe, right? Like, so 12 months, it feels like we're kicking the can down the road, unless maybe you're doing like a double blind. Like if it was me and I really wanted to grab the reins, I'm doing 2 audits at once, right? I'm going to have firm A and firm B. And then I'm going to do maybe my own internal audit. And then we're all coming to the table. Numbers are perfect by the end of that meeting. Numbers are down to every penny's accounted for. We know where every penny went. So would love more information about this audit. I haven't seen that discussed or mentioned anywhere else except for that initial letter. So yeah, let me know. Would love to know. Number 6 on 7 things that I believe are 100 times more important than this conversation about swag. Did Jessica Brooks Woods actually expense an airport transportation to the tune of nearly $1,000? How does that work? How is that like not an automatic decline flag type of situation? And kind of a follow-up question, does NABIP use helicopters when transporting executives from an airport to the final location?
I heard they have SpaceX on retainer to fly them around in rocket ships.
We're going to get there in 27 seconds. No need to take a car.
Imagine, that rocket that came down a year or 2 ago, and like the robot arms come and grab it on the launch. There's a big NABIP logo on the side of the rocket.
Yeah.
Randy, if you're watching, I need an AI image of that, please. When we're done.
Rocket for transportation.
Yeah.
And anything you want to add to number 6 before I move on to my final point?
No, I think you covered it pretty well on that one.
All right. And finally, number 7, why was our NABIP member online portal disabled after we logged in to it less than a week ago? So, over the past couple of weeks that we've been covering this story, we logged in, our account was there, we knew we were paid up, everything looked good, and then all of a sudden our online portal gets disabled. No communication, no emails, nothing. It leads us to speculate that we might be getting punished for asking questions. Is that the case, Susan? Are we being punished for asking questions to the NABIP leadership as NABIP members with current paid dues? I would like to know. So that's my list. 7 things that I believe are 100 times more important than this conversation about swag that somehow yielded a full letter release in less than 48 hours, despite spending less than 10 minutes on that conversation. And we've talked more than 5 hours about this entire situation. It just, to me, feels like, what's actually important? Well, how are we categorizing what's important? Or are we just playing politics? Is that really what this was that we saw this week?
I mean, to me, I think it was, as I mentioned, one of the poorest displays of damage control I've ever seen. If you were only going to if you're going to reply, to your point, why not reply to everything that you mentioned on that list there that we've asked questions about and that other members have asked questions about. In addition to that, if you're going to put out such a poorly written reply, you're going to throw a person's name attached to it that wasn't ever said and bring more attention to it and take it to a new level of take it to a new level of circus than it ever was originally.
The Barbara Streisand effect is what that is called. Yes.
There is no business sense going on here. This is incompetence at best. It's a consistent display that we see in across where it seems like everything they do. And that's a big concern I have. I mean, it's crazy.
I think there's plenty of examples of other organizations that can run transparently. The financials are clean. They are communicating with their members effectively. It's not hard. I think there's plenty of examples of other nonprofit organizations that are checking these boxes. I don't think we're asking for the moon here as NABIP paying members. I just wanted the basics, really. So yeah, it's been very unfortunate how this has kind of played out. At the end of the day, I would love for, this to be course corrected, right? I mean, I think Christian would probably, I'm not going to speak for him, but I think he would agree. Like, we would love for NABIP to have transparent financials. We would love for them to be spending, as much money as possible on lobbying, and we would love more representation for agents on Capitol Hill, because we are extremely underrepresented as a group in our government. That's my personal opinion. So at the end of the day, like, as upset as I think we all are about this entire NABIP situation, I think I'm almost more sad for us as agents that this is what we're dealing with, right? Like, I would kill for like legitimate representation. We have agents, who are actually selling or have sold, or agents who have actually built an agency involved at the top, helping make changes. I wish it didn't come down to big FMOs having to sue CMS, because that to me feels like that's what I have to pray for if things get really bad, right? I have to pray for a big business to come in and try to sue CMS, because it seems like we're not getting our representation at Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I mean, to me, for years, I have always been under the impression that NABIP doesn't have as much of a focus on Medicare agents. And I think that's true. I think there's a huge portion of group agents that are involved. And I just feel like you have an organization that doesn't prioritize Medicare agents, but then you have organizations like HAFA. Shout out to Rennell Nolan. Everyone should join HAFA. HAFA specifically represents health insurance and Medicare agents. Specifically, I categorize them as, and what Rennell is doing, as they're exactly what I've always wanted NABIP to be. They're loud. You never have to wonder about what's going on. They communicate really well. They're a lean, mean organization, and I'm a huge supporter.
Agreed.
So every single person I think should be a HAFA member. Like, if you're on the fence on your NABIP membership and you're like, this is the clown show, I would pop over to HAFA, in my opinion. But again, NABIP being the biggest advocacy organization that there is right now, and been around a long time and everything like that, it's one of those things where we would love to see things turn around, because that's what's in the best interest of agents. But there's a lot of people inside of the organization. There's not just one person we've talked to inside of the organization at a high level. There's multiple. And there is a feeling internally that the organization is set up to benefit the people at the top and not to the agents that pay the membership dues. And that's the feeling that I think a lot of members have. And if people internally have that feeling, you can't just sweep this under a rug by being like, stop criticizing, get involved. Yeah, I should donate my time that I could be using to grow my business, my livelihood. I should donate my time to something that could potentially have a hole in the bottom of the ship and I'm going to go down with the Titanic. Am I going to be the guy playing the violin? I don't want to be that guy. Like if people are going to get involved, every question that's been asked on the show today should be answered first, as far as I'm concerned.
I also want to add here too, you guys. I think based on the admission of embezzlement, anyone who's touching a dollar should be questioned. If we know that one person at the organization took a significant amount of money, again, call it 100K for sake of not knowing, because we don't know. If even one person took that type of money, I think anyone who money goes through their hands for any reason at NABIP should be questioned, and it shouldn't be a big deal. We shouldn't have to put letters out to try to vindicate someone because money went through their hands. Every single person at NABIP apparently needs a letter that touches the money. Because right now, if one person walked away with over 6 figures, what else is I'm looking, again, I'd be like, well, who else is touching the money? Who else has hands in the cookie jar? And then there was this big thing where, well, Jessica Brooks Woods, she didn't take any money. We're not saying she took money. Okay. Well, what is this insane expense for airport transportation that I heard of? Like, is that not in its own way potentially taking the money? Like I have all of these questions about the money. And I really strongly believe that anybody who touched money at NABIP should be asked questions, and it shouldn't be a big deal at all. It shouldn't be letter publishing newsworthy. If someone touched money and they were supposed to deposit it into an account, like it should just be like, yeah, this is what I did. Here's the receipts. No big deal. Okay, great. Thanks.
Here's another thing I want to add to that too, and I think that's a great point. For anybody that's a NABIP loyalist, like I've been in for 20 years, I've been in for 30 years, the solution is not just, there's problems, there's unanswered questions, but let's not talk about any of that. Shut up. Shut up in Medicare. The solution is not shut up in Medicare and just keep paying your dues and be quiet. That's the message I've gotten broadly from the very small percentage of people that are against what we're talking about. Again, it is a small percentage. My optics are it's 90 to 95% of you are in favor of what we're doing. And you think what we're doing is positive. But the solution to these problems, if there are systematic problems in the organization, is not to just ignore them, to not talk about them, and keep paying your memberships. That's kind of what they want you to do if they have no desire to fix the problems, right? It's not too different to me than like things we've seen from politicians in the last year, right? Like
Absolutely.
The Minnesota politicians with the fraud allegations, they're just like, shut up, racist.
If it's real, then I would love for people to be prosecuted and change has to happen. If it's not real, that needs to be known too. Like the truth needs to become apparent. We need transparency. 100%. It's a great analogy.
We're not the bad guys for asking the questions that many of you have. Again, we would not be doing this if nobody wondered this except for us. We're doing this and going through the scrutiny that we're getting from a small percentage of people because we are representing agents with an organization that's supposed to represent agents. Doesn't seem like agents 100%. Have any representation in the organization that represents agents.
I think that's very well said. Well, I know we had a second topic. We mentioned that kind of at the start of the show. We weren't sure if we were going to have enough time to get to it. Here we are. We're coming up on top of the hour, so I don't think we'll have enough time. They'll have to wait till Monday.
It will.
So, we're kind of at a point where it might be good to move into final thoughts. I'll kind of share some of my final thoughts as well to begin, and then I'll kind of turn the mic over to you for your final thoughts, Mr. Brindle. Episode 205 was a big one here on the 7 Figures or Bust podcast. I like to think that again, like Christian said, it's not just us. This is also the community. It's all of you guys. It's every agent who watches, who comments. We always say you guys are the drivers of the bus. I'd like to believe that together we can make a change for the better. I like to believe that sunlight is the best disinfectant. And if collectively as a community, which as insurance agents, we are a part of, Medicare agents, we're a part of, I'd like to believe that we can come together and have a positive impact and see positive change happen from what we're asking, like what we're doing. So this entire NABIP situation, NABIP to me is almost interchangeable with, I think, a lot of things. There's a lot of things we've discussed on the show over the years. And we're constantly asking questions because we want things to be better. We want to make an impact in a positive way. And I think all of us coming together and questioning what we're being told is a key element in doing that, into having a positive change. We can't, there's a famous philosopher quote that I'll butcher here. I think it's Voltaire. It's like, if you're ever wondering who's in charge, find out who you can't ask questions of. It's something along those lines. And there's this famous image of a giant hand pushing down on someone with that quote. And if we can't ask questions anymore, we're in deep shit as a community, as agents. If we're a part of an organization, and it could be any organization, and they're not happy about questions being asked, that's the first red flag, you guys. It doesn't even matter what the question is if they're unhappy with questions. And finally, HAFA, an incredible organization, super transparent, great at communicating with agents. Renelle, we had her on the show before. She's amazing. We know she's had meetings with Dr. Oz already. She had meetings with Dr. Oz right out the gate. She had pictures of it, that she got to meet him and talk to him. So that's the type of impact I'm looking for at Capitol Hill. I want someone who's boots on the ground, talking to the most important people, not the staffers, not the secretaries, people in charge making decisions. And I want to know that the time and money and my contributions, going to that. It's a great group, very transparent, highly recommend. If you're looking for a way, how can I support agents having better representation at Capitol Hill? Sign up for HAFA. It's an incredible organization. Those are my final thoughts. And of course, Susan would love a letter with all 7 of those if you did watch this or this got sent to you. But those are my final thoughts on today's episode, good sir.
Well said. My final thoughts are, this episode today would not have happened. We would be talking about Dr. Oz and AI if they had handled this better, amongst most things. They want us to shut up. It keeps getting back to me that, Glenn and I are on a mounted on the wall in terms of, it's like FBI's most wanted in a way. We're at the top of the list. We're the biggest villains in that whole organization right now, and I find that hilarious. But again, the decisions, the choices, the strategic things that they choose to respond to, and the way they choose to respond to them, their public communication to their members, is just an absolute train wreck. And you need a better public relations team. You just do. Maybe instead of your rocket ships flying around, you can put some of the budget towards that, whatever it is. But anybody within leadership is, and I don't want somebody that's just a member that's a fan. Anybody that's within leadership that's willing to answer these questions, and not propaganda. You're not going to use my show for propaganda, our show for propaganda. But that is willing to come on and address some of these things. Absolutely. And give actual answers, the invitation stands.
I would love it. I will say too, you guys, every person that we've had talk to us privately, I want to add this too here at the end, is we've tried to get all these people to come on the show. That's my first question for everybody we talk to that's in any type of position of power. And unfortunately, the problem is a lot of them have signed NDAs, and a lot of them are very scared of retribution. That's part of the reason why these sources haven't come forward. There's a literal guillotine hanging above their heads. So I'm trying really hard on what Christian just said there a moment ago. I've been trying really, really, really hard to pull someone into this who's willing to come on the show, talk to you guys, tell you how it is. You can hear it from the horse's mouth. We just haven't been able to get past the guillotine yet. So stay tuned. I'm hoping that changes soon, but we'll see.
If you guys enjoyed today's show and you feel like this message is important, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, give a 5-star review, whatever the platform of your choice that you took today's episode in will allow you to do. Make sure to share it with a buddy, with a friend, if you think this message needs to be heard. And until next time, we'll be back on Monday. Unless there's some crazy development over the weekend, we are planning on a Dr. Oz AI conversation. So I guess that's up to NABIP, though, on what happens over the weekend. So, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end. You're the real MVP, and we appreciate the overwhelming support we've gotten from all of you throughout this whole thing. You know, I've had multiple people call me, and they're like, "Are you okay? This person's attacking you. That person's attacking you." I'm like, I'm getting ice cream from the ice cream truck. You know, like,
I'm getting
ice cream. Glenn and I built for this. Got some pretty thick skin at this point of the game.
For sure.
So
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next episode. And here's to your massive success. Thanks, everybody.